Are you stressed out? Are you tired of watching the same repetitious YouTube channels? Well, if we took a holiday, took some time to celebrate just one day out of life, it would be so nice. Hey everyone, it's Brento here. Just getting ready for my vacation. I should probably take these glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. We're in our Soviet America here, admiring the beautiful terrain. In case you aren't familiar with this game, this is Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. We're building ourselves a virtual communist utopia here. And in the process, I do a show. I show you the game. I share some ideas. This is a beautiful city, don't you agree? This could be a tourist trap pretty much, right? It's such an appealing place to visit. But before we get into that, gotta go over what's in the show. I'm gonna have a lot of topics in the show. This is the most I've done, but none of them are super long. They're just gonna be quicker than normal. So quantity, not quality, is what this one is all about. So in this show, what are we gonna talk about? How about why you shouldn't buy Canadian steel? Again, I get these reports here. I just read them. What churches used to do in the book of Enoch. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, the Bible and the book of Enoch. There was a time when this was considered part of the sermon, and it's been omitted in churches nowadays. So we'll talk about that. What is the purpose of fireworks? Have you ever wondered, why do we do fireworks? Aren't they just expensive and loud and stuff? I want to talk about the Leviathan. I don't know if you saw last week's episode. It's a very thinking episode. So it made me think I'll learn a bit more stuff. And I learned about the Leviathan. This isn't going to be as thinky an episode as last week, but that topic will be. I have an interpretation of what dancing with the devil means to me. I also have a prediction when World War III is going to start. I have a specific year, so I'll let you know. I'm going to do a review of The Matrix. And then finally, what happens when all historians lie? If you think about it, what you know of the world and everything you've been taught, what if everyone lied to you? What would be the consequences of that? So anyways, without further ado, let's get back into the game here. Get our controls activated here. So what do we do once I've done the announcements and all the nonsense topics? We go over the world, right? Last episode was 1985. We built our secret police last year. A macabre episode in a way. Very wintry. It's Cinco de Mayo here. I got this shirt on. I think it might be related to the topic of the episode too. Maybe those glasses were a hint. Quick tour of the world. What's happened between episodes? As you know, let's start with the rails here. This big rail line that connects to China. Sorry, I mispronounced that. China. And we're finally going to have the second line built. We've been operating with one line the whole time, but this second line, this is the last little bit. And it takes a long time to do this. So this will finally get done. Then we'll be able to possibly have a lot more rail traffic through there. When you only have one line, you kind of have to manually operate things because trains, only one can go on the line at a time. The distribution office here, it's no point building it yet. This might be for next episode. Another cool thing we're going to see this episode, I tried to do it last, but I made no promises. This one I do make a promise, and it's to finally see how the boring vehicle works here at the Amtrak station. But once we start playing here, we'll get to watch it do some actual boring because we have a tunnel here that's ready to be tunneled out right here. Again, I'm somewhat new to the game. I'm not an expert. We're simulating what would happen if a standard civilian took over as a communist. Would a communist society succeed? Well, so far we're looking okay. It looks like we're not totally doomed. We'll get more into that later. So I didn't know how the boring machine worked. And I'll say frankly, I bet you most people in most cities don't know how these things work. But the truth is, once you have this tunnel built, and you have all the other, bricks and steel and whatnot in position, and it's only man hours required, it starts drilling tunnels. That's just how it works. I watched it do a bit of one tunnel, and it'll kick in on this one here. So we'll get a peek of it at work throughout the episode here. Something I promise we'll see. What else has happened between episodes here? Oh, we've expanded our dump here. Like before we had just this one building processing mixed waste. Now we have two. So this got built. Now, trucks that service it and the destination, like the target dumps for it, they're not really set up yet. We're at a point where our population's so big that the amount of heat they need, we don't have enough fuel to heat the cities. So I came to realize this is probably the highest priority thing, because frankly, we had over 17,000, I think we had like 17,200 in like January or February. A lot of them froze, okay, because we just didn't have enough resources. Therefore, in addition to adding this new dump city general separation, these lines here, these conveyor belts, these were built and they merge in. The main thing is I want to kind of get this new heat incinerator set up before next winter, because we just do not have the ability to provide enough heat right now. I know we set up our Las Vegas plans a few episodes ago. Actually, that was last episode, sorry. But that's going to take a few years before that's working. And there's coal there, but until then, we need something to last for the next few years. So that's expanded. That's a new building. What else has changed here? Actually, before we get into the city, like this is a tourism episode, okay? We're going to plan vacations in it. We're going to go over the mechanics of tourism in the game. Wasn't something I originally planned, but from what I understand, it makes a bit of money, and we're still having money problems in this game. Houston itself here, nothing's really changed. We're making a lot of money here with our pipeline that's directly connected to the border here. So in terms of finances, and again, this is a big part of the show. This is an economic show. It's meant to teach people how money works and how the economy works and the difference between a real job and a fake job. Whether you have a real job or a fake job, you still got a job and you still got to work. Like this show is an example of a fake job, but it's still work. I still need to feed myself, right? Actually, I went to a food bank earlier today to get a bit of food just to help out, because I don't make any money off this yet, but hopefully it catches on. Hopefully by the time this is released, I'll have enough, subscribers to feed myself and maybe, pay for the rent and stuff. This is a full-time job, but even though it's a fake job, right? And the truth is, half of you out there have a fake job, whether you like to pretend it's important or not. If you're an entertainer, that's a fake job. Just saying, okay? We don't have fake jobs in Soviet America here, but we still have to abide by the rules of national economics. We borrow money from other states and from private investors, and we pay out interest for those loans. And right now, because of this pipeline here, I think the key number, if you've been following the series, is the borrowing power. I don't want to break down how much revenue we make. All of that basically adds up to how much you're allowed to borrow. That tells you how well managed your economy is. Our rubles are the highest they've ever been. And this has been rapidly going up since we built this pipeline set up. So I'm not too worried about rubles. What I am worried about is our US dollars. Okay, so just so we're clear here, if I build a hotel in this game, it probably costs about $300,000. So we're going to have some difficulty getting some things built in this game because we're running low on money. Between episodes, I spent quite a bit of money. I was down to 200,000 net US dollars I could have, meaning this was at my current balance was at zero, and then this was 200,000. Right now, our total available liquid cash is effectively 444,000 plus 243,000. So it's gone up a bit, but one of the things that has helped us to go from 200,000 up to 600,000 is that I noticed that as the years go by, I guess we're into the 80s, we're getting a lot of aluminum scrap in our mixed waste. Like I have 20 people converting aluminum scrap into aluminum. And selling this makes a lot of money. Let's just have a look here. Aluminum itself, 1,500 US dollars per ton. And we're just getting that out of, basically free mixed waste. I know there's supply chain ways people play this game, but that's not how I play this game. I play it with a big dump. That's how I do it. Everything comes out of this mixed waste. So this has been an unexpected little profitable thing. Another little thing that's making us a bit of money is our ASMR semiconductor here. We've got a lot of workers here, and check out the price of electronic components. Just check it out right here. $5,500. Isn't that ridiculous? That's one of the biggest. So this is why, and we got to keep growing this. If we grow our population, we can put more people to work here. Well, we have to put them in the supply chains, like recycle the plastic, right? But then we can make more money and get out of this problem. However, from what I understand, tourism makes money. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to build some tourist attractions and see if that makes us money and doesn't bankrupt us. One last thing. Last episode, we were building this tunnel. Never finished it. So you're like, oh, what happened with that tunnel? Well, now it's done. And we built all this highway and all this highway. And I put a little construction office here. And we're slowly getting into this area. I've also laid these things out a little different between episodes because the way it was before was just too expensive and too stupid. It just was. So I just redid it, right? And I think this will be built this way. We'll go over the details how this gets built in a future episode once we're actually doing Las Vegas. But this is kind of how we're going to set up our new construction zone to build around the Inland Empire. Without further ado here, we can hit play and we can watch things go here. So winter's just ended. I've just shut down. I think I've just shut down the heating plant. Should double check on that. Yep, they're going to slowly stop working. So I don't have to think about heat this episode. I got to follow the reports. Okay, of things I got to do here. So I announced topics for the show, but I have just as many topics that are unannounced. So I just want to do this right away because this is something I learned between episodes. I've never done this before. So if you have a rail setup, and I've been playing this for 1,000 hours and I never even knew about this, is that there's an advanced setup on your trains here. See this? You can go through each of your wagons and you can give it a specific good to go in it. And then when you do your schedule, you can say fill to 100%. And this is how you get different ratios in your wagons. So before, what I wanted was, I don't know what the precise number is. It's like roughly 80% aggregate waste and 20% coal. But I couldn't do that through the controls of the schedule. So a little bit of a tip here. So, because you can only say for the whole amount of each wagon of what it's filled. But this advanced setup on each particular train lets you actually, so you could technically set up a line and then after that have a distinction within trains on the line to be able to have slightly different things it's picking up. Like let's say this train had mostly coal, right? So if I were to change these to be mostly coal and only one construction waste wagon, then it would behave differently than another train that had mostly construction waste pickups, even though they're on the same line. So just something I learned well into the game. Maybe you can find that useful for some route planning, is to go into the setup and you'll notice it turns blue, right? Initially, it will just show them all selectable, but each wagon is like this. See, they're all construction waste except this last one is coal. So we're going to be filling up some resources with that. Let's have a look here of our tourist trap here. So we're not going to do obviously we're not going to make money selling tourists in Dump City proper. We're going to have to go to our nice part of Hollywood to do that. But hold on, we got a problem here. I think we'll just add a few more workers to solve that. I think our population is going to be growing fairly quick here now that winter's over. This here is our tourist trap. Pardon me, a luxury tourist destination. And so, okay, so I guess we just learned one thing there. Okay, hold on. We got so many things going on here. We got a new technology researched. It's much harder to do this show now that the city's so big because things are coming up all the time. That's why I paused it while I was talking, because so many things come up that I can't really play the game. And as you know, with the technology, you have to jump on it right away. Actually, this is part of what we're doing here. So maybe we could make this a bit of a tutorial in terms of how to get tourists in your nation and the tourism mechanic itself. So to get tourists into your nation, depending on which border they're coming from, you always got to start with the visas, right? So here we have a Western border here, and I already have the Western countries' tourist visa technology. So since we have the tourist visas, what should we get next? Obviously, we're going to advertise in the Western nations. Now, I have a lot of people waiting for school here, so we can't research this too fast. And frankly, our nation kind of sucks in terms of tourism. That's what we'll do here. We'll choose that technology. And again, I've been on Reddit. I've been learning a bit about how this works. It's not super obvious how tourism works in this game. So when you actually build a tourist trap in your nation, what you want to do first is have a hotel. That's usually your first step. Well, I call it Hotel California, obviously, but I believe this is a 4-star hotel. We're going to do the city hotel on a different location. And the way it works is you set a price and a trip rating. Make it a good deal. It just gets a better rating, okay? So if you go down in price level, the rating goes up. If you go up in price, the rating goes down. So when I first unlocked this between episodes, I had so many tourists lined up at the border here. There was a backlog of them. I couldn't serve them all. So I basically jacked up the price, to max level to get as much money as I could from them, obviously. And then I did the same with the mall. Actually, it's still way jacked up price here because we want to get as much as we can out of them. Actually, you know what? Let's take it down a little bit here. We have a problem here. You notice we didn't have any tourists at the border because what happens is, as I read about this on Reddit, the more you charge, because the lower rating happens, it makes it so that there's a side effect to that. You get immediate cash from doing it, but then it lowers the tourists and eventually, apparently, they stop coming altogether. And we had a few other problems too during the winter when this first got unlocked. The beach wasn't open because it was, the middle of winter. And I made it max price too, so not that it really mattered if it wasn't open. But we had another even worse problem in that if we looked at the heat sources for this building, the closest one was over here. Basically, our tourists were getting really sick and they were dying. Okay, so not the best trip. We're going to work on it this episode. So given our money situation, I've planned out all these buildings here. I can't build them all at once. We're just going to build a couple for this episode. We'll make them a little project. And we're going to give them a beach for the summer here. We've made the prices more affordable. Both these should be 4-star destinations. I lower the price at the mall a little bit here. 1.4 stars better than, 0.9 star. But we got to add a few more tourist destinations too. So you'll notice too, when you build these attractions, you have different categories. See, it says attraction type galleries. There's only one gallery here. Okay, see this here? Attraction type museums. There's several museums and they're different sizes and different qualities. So from what I understand, you want to have one of each category when you set up your tourist trap. Not rocket science. Just go to the tourism button and then just go for the categories. So I've basically set up one of each type of category there's a zoo type as well, okay, even though there's only one zoo. So here we have basically one of each type set up, but each one of these costs a different amount. So because we're low on money, I want to do the cheapest ones first. So let's start with, I'm figuring, actually, let's go over each one real quick here before I do that. Yeah, this is a little bit cut off, but you got, the categories are basically carousels, restaurants, bars, right? Cafe bars, galleries. There's museums. There's theaters. Well, there's only one theater. There's sports, basically. The beach counts as a sporting category, right? We have our beach built here somewhere. Where's the beach? Of course, it's going to be the last one I look at. Yes, of course, it's the last one that the cursor reaches to. It has a high attraction score, so this will be good, hopefully, to get some good reviews. We're not going to make much money off this. That's why we can't build all this stuff right now. But we need to get a slightly better reviews than we have, so we can at least fill up our hotel. So there's the sports type, and then finally there's the zoo. So we have one of everything here. So this looks pretty cheap, this carousel. And this is a water fountain. It's not really a tourist attraction. What else? Okay, we got another hotel here. We're not going to build that yet. And between episodes, actually, this was completely filled up. So I had max staff and I couldn't serve the people enough. Now, because I gouged them so much, my ratings are bad. So I got to work on that a bit here. But I think, oh, this theater is way too expensive. Oh, this isn't bad here. I wonder if we could build this. Let's try that. I think the museums were kind of useful. We got a tower here. I'm not so confident I want to put this tower. From what I understand, towers give you a higher score if they're a higher altitude, so I might not put that there. And I understand that water affects tourist ratings somehow, so this is part of it, right? Being near the water makes this a good spot. And I think a lot of trees. So I planted a bunch of trees here too. So we'll see how that works for attraction score. Again, this is our ritzy part of town. Almost no pollution here, no crime. So this is like the ideal place to have it. So let's build the museum. Let's see if we can do that. We'll make that, this will be a build challenge for the episode. And let's build a carousel. These are our 2 build challenges. Okay. Yeah, so that's sort of the gist of how tourism works. You build a bunch of things, they go. There's an attraction score. If you set the prices too high, you make money right off the bat, but it has a long-term effect in that people will stop showing up to visit you because your ratings will go low. So the long story short is what I did to jack up the prices right away when there was a big lineup of tourists, not necessarily the best thing. From what I understand, the defaults are probably your best setting, but if you got people that can't get into the hotel, then you start marking up the prices. So I imagine once we have all our attractions and there's so many people showing up, maybe we can make everything expensive. But that's basically how tourism works in Workers and Resources. Okay, let's press play here. Let's see what we can get built here. Let's see if we can get these 2 attractions built this episode. That's probably not going to be too hard. I don't think that's going to be exceptional challenge to build. The biggest problem I had with the tourists last winter was the heat. We want to have heat. We're not even connected yet. This has to be built first. We want to have this ready so that people don't die in the actual winter. I said there'd be short topics for this episode. This is a really short one. I'm actually doing it while I'm borrowing the money. Why? You shouldn't buy Canadian steel. Okay? See, we buy Canadian steel from here. Look how much it costs. See how much? $900. I had a situation where I had to buy a bunch of steel real ad hoc because we were out of steel in our open storage. And basically that's why my borrowing power went from, I had a $700,000 borrowing power, and then it went down to $200,000 just because a large train full of steel basically bankrupted me. So why shouldn't you buy Canadian steel? Because it's really expensive. Okay, so that's why. I mean, in the game here at least, right? I don't know what it's like in real life. Okay, let's just check out on a few other things here while we're going to be running. We got to get these things built. So I can do topics. We've gone through all the mandatory stuff in the show. Now we just play and we go over the topics. It's got to get more exciting, right? You're just at the point where you want to tune out, right? Because it's just, oh, come on. I don't want to be explaining game mechanics forever. I want to hear the topics you talked about at the start of the show. So we'll start doing these now. A little bit. What's going to be next? This topic's called Dude, Sell Your House. Okay? I want a communist government to take over so I can sell my house. Because, as you know, I'm house poor. I pay mortgage. I pay utilities. I pay property taxes. And after all that, I have no money for food. Because the bankers insist on taking all that money, and fake job people require the money for their families so that they can live a wonderful life while I starve. So this is what I want. I want Elon Musk to start communism, and I want that Communist Party to start buying houses. Just buy up the houses and make them all state run. Well, basically make it like Cuba or something, where you get a house and it's a free house, so let me live in my own house, right? But I got to take care of it. I got to maintain it. That's the only term. That's how communism should work, is you get a free house, but you got to maintain it. That's the rule. And I'd be all for that. Give me a fair market value, then I can, once the government pays fair market value for my house, I can then afford to buy other things. I can live a normal life, right? So that's one topic, is dude, sell your house. Sell it to the Communist Party. If you're a NIMBY and you're worried about socialism solving the homelessness and not creating enough artificial scarcity for your house, well, if it's done right, if communists buy your property, you'll be okay. You'll be just the same. Like, the gig's up. The fact that housing is viewed as an asset that you expect to appreciate in value, you're just an idiot. That doesn't make any sense. That is just a... Why do capitalist nations do this? It's so stupid. It's anti-economic. Like, if I had to deal with homeless people in this game here, do you realize how impossible it would be to survive? The only reason capitalist nations survive as long as they do is because eventually, like, they just bail themselves out over and over. And then once people stop lending to these nations, they just go to war. They just say, okay, let's go to war then. I'm not going to pay my debt. That's how it works. That's how the capitalist system, start to finish, works. That's the part they didn't tell you about. The real objective of this episode here is to see if we get some tourists to start showing up. Still zero. Like, I'm offering such a good deal. Why are they not showing up? Maybe I've ruined the entire world here. Maybe by gouging them so much, they'll never return. But maybe if we research this... Now, I don't think we're going to get our advertising in Western countries done by the end of the episode. But next episode, it should be done. You know, I'm explaining how tourism works. This is a tourist trap. Maybe a few better attractions will make them happier. We only have 6 tourists. Some of them should be giving a 4-star rating. Some of them, maybe at this border. No tourists yet. I don't even think we have vehicles picking up tourists right now. Yeah, I'm not even picking them up because no one's showing up. Our carousel, that should be a big attraction. I should have probably built the path first. Maybe I'll build the path while there's other tourist attractions for them. That's something for them to do. And I think this year, I think we made a good choice. I think maybe our locals can also use some of these attractions. So we'll see if that works out. And again, it's a little hard to talk about these topics and play the game when it's this big of a city and it's not fully automated without the rail distribution office. Let's check out our... Ooh, well, you know what we could do? We could check out... Is this done? Is this actually finally done? Oh my God, I think it is. This is finally done. Do you know how long? Like, look at the episode number this is. We started this in the like the 12th episode or something like that. It's finally done. What's it doing right now? I just got to make sure it's not doing nothing. Okay, it's found some other work here. Let's see if these trains here can managed to get around on the other track. I created another little project here for it to do afterwards once it finishes that up. What else is finished? We got... Ooh, this is finished. Okay, let's make this a low priority. This isn't actually that interesting. This isn't related to the topic here. In this little construction office here, we have basically 3 large dumpers and a bus. Because I think when you're this far out doing stuff, you want to make sure that your people aren't standing around doing nothing. So I think this is a good ratio. When this large bus shows up, it'll bring a bunch of workers all at once. And then basically 51 tons of aggregate in a row will get spread out. And if we're using the Hollywood construction office, it is obviously equipped with an open hull truck and a bulldozer and an asphalt paver, which is what you need for those things. We might actually need a crane. So we do have a tower crane. I think the tower crane can actually be used for that too. We'll see if it gets used out there. We want to keep everyone kind of busy there. Another thing I'm doing here, wow, we got so many topics here. I may as well do this now because I'll probably forget it, is I'm going to ultimately decommission this heat plant here because it's a little too close to the city. However, it's going to be a backup heat plant. So I don't know if this works in the game, but heat pumps here, like this, that have 2 sources. So we got a heat incinerator here connected to this heat pump and another heat incinerator over here connected to it. And then it's 2 in, 2 out. Like one direction just has a little bit of heat that goes out of it, but it's just kind of bonus heat. So basically the way that works is if we run out of heating capacity at one of these incinerators, the other, I won't be operating this one. It'll just have piles of garbage waiting in reserve, and it will actually be permanently set to closed if temperature above 0 degrees. So this will only activate as the backup heat system, keeping the city generally cleaner because it will only operate for, half the time of the other heat incinerators. So that's sort of what I'm doing there. We'll see how that works out. There's a few places that's happening. There's another one actually just right over here. And I'm doing some demolition and some rerouting of plumbing. I'll do that a little bit after the episode here because that requires a little bit of micromanagement. We mainly want to improve our tourist district. Let's see how we're doing here. Ooh, it's a little chilly today. 20 degrees is not warm enough. That's ridiculous. Go to the beach at 20. Let's do another topic here. I'm going to read the reports. Oh yeah, what is the purpose of fireworks? Have you ever wondered what purpose fireworks have? Are they a useful thing for society? I have a theory of why fireworks exist. I think China invented fireworks, or one of the dynasties would have been a popular thing. But fireworks are a worldwide phenomena nowadays. And you know why I think fireworks are a popular thing? I think they're made to remind the rich and powerful what a cannon sounds like. So when you're too greedy and you don't pay enough taxes and you think that your $200,000 plus salary isn't something that should be taxed because there's no other externalized costs that you inflict on others. That's why we have the fireworks, is to remind you that now and then you have to pay your taxes. Like they're there to remind you of this. That's my theory of fireworks. Okay, that was nice and short, that one. So many topics in this episode. I got to keep them a little shorter. Some of them might suck. I get a few airballs sometimes, okay? That's why I edit my own show. Let's just keep an eye on things here. Ooh, this carousels. Look how fast this gets built. Surely we're going to get some tourists with the carousel. And let's make it a nice and cheap. Let's go 5-star. Let's just fill it up. Fill it up. How many can we get? How many can we get on the carousel? This has to attract tourists. No tourists yet. I wonder if I have to advertise. Again, I'm learning the game here too. There's a potential for something here that Tourism's done in spurts that you can only get tourists after doing some advertising. Okay, they don't spawn until you do this. And it's possible that this might need to be done for this to work, but we'll find out. Sometimes you learn better the hard way. Like, if you haven't set up a tourist trap in your game, this is why you got to watch Dump City, right? There's many lessons like this that are taught in this game. Like, I taught how Metro works, building that Metro line. Oh my God, in realistic mode. You got to watch the series, right? To learn this stuff. And maybe this is mandatory. So even if I make these attractions, it won't be enough. Look at all these people showing up. This could be, well, someone's showing up to these. Maybe the locals are just having fun on the carousel. 5-star. Okay. Someone's going to be happy about that. I'm going to have, you know what? Maybe I'm offering a little bit too much of a deal here. I want to go with 4-star across the board. Okay, what's going on with our train here? Okay, we got to be careful. You got to be careful here that we don't run out of crops because of silliness. Oh, we are going to run out of crops. We are. Where is our train? Where is our aggregate train? Okay. Okay, it's going to deliver stuff. And this guy's going to fill up crops and it will get to... Yeesh. This is going down fast. When that reaches 0, we're screwed. This counter here, this is how fast we burn through crops. So let's do our boring vehicle here. Is it in action? It is in action. Okay. We'll do this a little bit. So let's have a look. Remember I said we're going to have a tunnel borer? There it is. There it is. Tunnel boring. As you see, it works. So how does this activate? You got to build a brick and the steel and the wood parts to get the casing of the tunnel built. But once it's built, once it basically doesn't require those materials, this guy comes in and builds tunnels and saves so many work days. Again, this is why automation is preferred over job creation. Okay, again, I started an automation company up, but never got any investment because our politicians would prefer creating more jobs because they don't philosophically believe in UBI, and the other existing businesses in automation would prefer I don't exist. Again, that's why capitalism does not work. But in socialism, you can automate a machine like this, and it will do the work of many, many people. Thus, profits go to the people. So this will improve our transportation eventually. We'll have a metro system. And yeah, this is the boring machine here. It's really cool here. Look how fast it builds tunnels. This would take years, I think. It would take more than a year to build this if you don't own one of these. So you got to get one of these for your rail construction office for sure. All right, that's that. We got to watch it a little bit. Maybe we'll check it out later. It's not super exciting. I got to keep an eye on this here. Like, oof. Oh no. Oh. See? I'm a pro gamer. I'm pro. I meant to do that. That was intentional. I calculated it all. I'm like, okay, 83 tons. The new train's going to come, and I actually planned that, right? That's what I say when people don't starve. And when they do starve, I say, whoopsies. I'm going to actually keep an eye on this train here because I don't think it can get obstructed by anything other than this big slug of a train that's in the way here. And I'll have a distribution office set up between episodes. I think we'll do the distribution office. Let's have a look here on our tourist attractions here. Is this getting built? What about our heat? That's another feature. Ooh, we got this done. Well, since that heat plant's built, let's build this one here. This should be a high priority, and let's make this a high priority project too, and we'll have Hollywood, we'll get the US, and we'll get those constructions working on it too. The best feature this hotel is going to have for next winter is heat. I have a feeling we're not going to get any tourists this episode because I thought there'd be at least a non-zero amount. Still zero. I wanted to show you all the tourists lining up because they're like you saw, there was a few tourists at the start here. Now there's like none. No one shows up here. I suspect no one's going to show up. We got to lay off people. Actually, let's just go to the minimum. Let's make this The Shining. All work and no play makes Brento a dull boy. It looks like the locals still like to see tourist attractions. It's got to be good for their productivity, you would think. Or at least maybe it makes money. Because there are prices. Imagine money still exists in our communist society. We just don't know what that amount is. Let's talk about a thinking topic. This is a thinking topic. Okay. We did last episode we did 1985, right? It's based on the George Orwell classic about how the authorities in your civilization will tell you what is acceptable thought and unacceptable thought. They control the dialect. They control the words. They make certain words negative, like taxing the rich is considered a very negative word in 1984. In the dystopian future of Orwell, this was all restricted. You were basically the rich and powerful told you what to do. But there's another concept I read about between episodes. It's called the Leviathan. And it was a book by Thomas Hobbes. And it was from the 1600s. And there's something about history. You want to learn something else about history? If you watch this show, I always teach you something that you're not going to learn about on pretty much anywhere else. Okay? I have to dig to find some of this stuff. Most of the stuff's on YouTube. I learn everything off YouTube. But the Leviathan was a concept that once you understand what it is, and I'm showing you my Leviathan train setup here. These tracks look like the Leviathan to me. But the idea of the Leviathan is that enforcement of laws and the enforcement of thought police in order to have civilization, in order for a nation to exist. Thomas Hobbes understood that everyone is selfish, okay? This is why I think a lot of people don't understand why you must be ruthless and tax the rich, because they don't understand the rich are lying when they say trickle-down economics is good. That is completely false. We've debunked that in many, many ways in this show. Why that's a falsehood and why that makes anyone who makes less than $250,000 a year poor. Okay? You should always be pro-taxing the rich and always be fine with them leaving. Just be aware that that taxation has to go to a pool to replace the industries if they are stupid enough to leave. And as I've always mentioned too, with taxation comes the rights to do business in a territory. And if you do not pay your taxes, you do not have the rights to sell product to those people. End of discussion. So the topic of the Leviathan is basically the idea of law enforcement and religious indoctrination. Nowadays, I think religion's been replaced with universities, places of higher education, political correctness, social acceptability, stuff like that. But these are all part of one of the same thing. Without it, you can't have a nation. I think furthermore, it should actually include taxation. Taxation should be part of the Leviathan. One thing that's quite fascinating about this Thomas Hobbes book is that he wrote it around 1642. And I didn't know this, but England had a civil war and 300,000 people died in England. You got to realize England wouldn't have been that big of a place then. That's a good percent of its population, where it exposed the fact that everyone is selfish and entitled, and going to war is a very natural thing for large groups of people if the Leviathan is not present. Now, in modern society, we see this happening in politics. We see people on the left and right claiming that they deserve, better this or that. They shouldn't have to pay their taxes. But that's why the Leviathan is essential. That if it comes down to it, you got to expropriate property from the rich. And we need institutes to do that, lest civilization not exist. That's the thing that I learned about this Thomas Hobbes guy and the Leviathan, is this concept that It's basically an entity so powerful that it's so much more powerful than any individual. The top billionaire can be thrown in prison by the Leviathan without question. Like, it's there's got to be rules to it though. Like, obviously it's a legal system. It's a system of laws that create it, right? Like formal laws and social laws and behavior. But the way the world's working right now, the rich and the powerful are manipulating the Leviathan. And when that happens, you'll get things like the English Civil War, where 300,000 people die. If that happens today, it'll be in the millions, and we don't want that to happen. So let's start fairly taxing the rich. Let's start creating UBI, and we'll create the Leviathan to enforce it all. And I think we're all good for the future. All right, that was it. That's the thing I learned between episodes. I got to learn a little bit something, not just about the game, And I really got a feeling that I need this technology now. It's just this advertising in Western countries. I'm not gonna get any tourists here. I guess. Oh, okay. We got the train waiting for too long for what? What train's waiting too long? Oh, this is a different train problem. Oh, we're doing some construction here. That's right. Okay. I know how to fix this, I think. We can send this back to the depot. That's how we'll fix it. Yoink. God, if you ever go on vacation, don't have pork rinds. They're just awful. Oh, that's a little... looks like that won't be a big deal here. Let's look at something else. Let's see if our theaters... Look at this. Look how fast we build things nowadays. It's not even an issue. Not even an issue to build this stuff. We're mowing through this heat. We actually need one of these heat exchangers built too. Let's get these sidewalks high priority here. Let's see. I think this no, this one here. Yeah, this one here should be built. It should be. Make that a high priority. And let's make the tunnel underneath a high priority, because you can't get heat without the pipes built. It doesn't teleport through, unfortunately. We'll make that a high priority. So they're going to have some fancy heat once our tourist propaganda is done. Maybe we'll get some celebrity singers promoting holidays, right? I own a Madonna DVD. Okay, I'll just admit it. Well, it was given to me as a Christmas present, but I own one. Okay, just gonna say. Okay, let's watch this train here. This could slow our garbage delivery because they can't seem to figure out. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something else here. In order to get, I think we can put waypoints. I think we can do that. Let's see if we can add a waypoint here on track. Is there waypoints? Oh, yes, there is. Okay, we'll put a waypoint here. So this will make sure, we'll put it right there for now. And I'm going to change this route because I thought they would automatically do this, but I guess they don't. So when we get our garbage pickup, HSG1, after it goes to the mega dump, we're going to add a new stop here. It's going to go here, yoink. And then afterwards, it's going to go this way too, yoink, like that. And now it's going to go that way. Okay, so let's just do that right away. Let's set this guy's to play here, and let's set this guy's next destination to the mega dump, and we'll flip him around. There. I thought it could figure that out on its own. I guess it can't. It is a little screwy. It's very complicated in realistic mode. It's very complicated when you're building tracks without a distribution office. Just saying. I think we'll be okay. I see the other trains working. I want to make sure this one's going. Because if we're not getting our garbage delivered fast enough, we're going to have some problems. By the way, we're building a little bit of track around the outskirts here too. Okay, we got some track builders building a metro. We got a track builder building around here, and we got some track going on in this zone here. So that's our track business. Ooh, this is coming along here. I think we'll have this done this episode. It's looking really good. Let's do a topic. Oh yeah, do you know what dancing with the devil means to me? Have you heard this? You've heard the term dancing with the devil. Everyone has a different interpretation of what dancing with the devil is. You want to know my interpretation of it? It's fiscal irresponsibility. When I take out loans to build these tourist traps, I'm dancing with the devil. I don't need to spend money on this. We're not even getting tourists at the border here. And it's going to cost us money. And I've gotten to the point where it's 100,000 in total borrowing power. Between episodes, it was as little as 200,000. And, well, we seem to be doing okay here. I'm not dancing the devil. I just recently danced with the devil, so I'm not going to be doing that this episode, you know. If I was to be dancing with the devil this episode, well, we'd probably build our zoo, we'd build our 3-star hotel, we'd build a Republic Theater, we'd build this tower, maybe an apartment building. Then we'd be bankrupt and the game would be over and World War III would start. Because that's what irresponsible capitalists do. That was dumb. But you need a little bit of dumb. I'm going to do my prediction from when World War III is going to start. It's going to be later in the episode. We got to keep an eye on things here. Let's see if our track builders... Actually, the main thing is we need... When it loads the garbage, it's so slow for loading that we got to make sure the trains aren't... Like, if they're going to be stuck, they got to be stuck here, right? But right now, it's looking good. Let's make sure our track builder is building here, or at least heading over here. There it is. Okay, we're happy there. I don't think we're going to have automobiles built. Dump motors isn't going to be built this season. Pretty sure of that. We got too much other stuff to do. Too many basic necessities to take care of, so don't get too excited about dump motors and clogging our freeways. That's going to be a season 2 thing. Frankly, the first half of this season sucks so much that it's really only the second half that's maybe watchable. But if you want to learn some mechanics, like if you're playing the game, again, and I was way worse at this game the first half of the season. I'm getting a little better now. I make less mistakes. Again, this is realistic mode. I've never won at it before. And the last time I tried it, I went bankrupt. And it's, the odds are if you do not start playing this in realistic mode, and don't be afraid of this game either. It's the best game there is in the world right now, obviously. But the way you learn it is through stages. Like you do the tutorials, then you do the campaign, and then you go bankrupt at realistic mode. Then maybe you might go bankrupt at realistic mode. Then maybe on the third time you succeed. Right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we're not bankrupt yet, so I think we can finish the season, hopefully. Ah, yes. Oh yeah, our borrowing power is going up a little bit here. This bloody, you need the technology. Like, they're not showing up. We need to advertise in Western countries. We don't have, I almost want to build another one of these universities. We discovered steel between episodes too, and we're going to research solar power. I figured, you know what? The most valuable resource is always your people. People make everything. Like, you could run out of steel, but people can make steel. Here's an area where I might set up a steel plant. There's iron here, and maybe we can find some coal somewhere. So, there you go. But I have a feeling we're not going to see any tourists until we discover this. Just a bit of a spoiler. I wanted to mess around with the tourists, but we could still build attractions. Look at that. We built one. Let's see how this is doing. Are there people... Okay, so 2 staff is too many. Let's go to 1 staff. Don't want to waste money here. And if we have that much room, we can make this really cheap then. Let's make it cheap. There we go. Maybe we're pushing our luck with 2. It's not a big deal. But we'll go for 5 stars because I'll make it super cheap because why not, right? If there's all that space. Look at these people just showing up. Where are they going? How come they're going this way? Well, they're not taking the other way to the beach. They're going all the way around here, here. Looks like down here. Is there something wrong with the road here? Oh, maybe this just got built. You know what? That's probably what happened. Okay, well, they do use it. Oh, they're using this a little too much, though. If there's people waiting in front, we need to make it more expensive, right? You know, there's people who go to business school, and there's business owners who think that they're geniuses for increasing the prices when there's too many people lined up. Like, they actually think that, like, this requires, like, this isn't even a job. Just someone manning the museum here could set the price ad hoc, but no, someone from above dictates that. Isn't that ridiculous? Actually, I have a theory that entertainment is mostly rigged, and a billionaire could take a crap in a bag, spend $1 million on marketing it, and generate 100,000 in sales just because people are sycophants. People are loyal to power, not to knowledge and not to common sense. If there's one person who has all the money, they will waste money supporting that person or waste their time following them. And honest to God, I wish Twitter had an option where I could filter out all, like, it shows me people's posts that I don't follow that are famous. I want to filter those out. I don't want to see what the president or top celebrities or other billionaires are posting about most of the time. I want to see what interesting people are posting. These people are not, like I say, they could crap in a bag and sell it to you. Like, think about the things that popular people talk about. It's not interesting. It's just trash talking other rich people. You admire them when they have an above average zinger. If I were to do an above average zinger, you'd just go, you're unimportant. You would just not even acknowledge it, that I zing someone. You just disregard it because I'm not that important, right? And people weight opinions based on someone's status, which is completely ridiculous. In my opinion, entertainment is rigged a little bit that way too. That the people who are famous to begin with can give you the lowest quality product and they'll still do well. And this is a perfect example for socialism because in a socialist nation, you know, the best dancers, the best singers, the best gamers, they would actually get a larger share of impressions, of media coverage, of recommendations. But no, that's not what happens in capitalist society. You follow the leader, as they say. Why? Because you're a stupid monkey, just like the rest of us. And I do it a little bit too. Oh well. I got my reports here. I got pages of reports. These get handed in to me by all kinds of writers and top scholars and PhDs and general idiots. If it's interesting, it makes the show. It just has to be interesting. And it can't be something that's regurgitated. Who do you think the president is when I'm recording this? I'll give you a hint. It doesn't matter, right? I never talk about the actual president. That would make this show one use. This show is supposed to be interesting in general, and you should be watching this in the year 2037. Absolutely. Or whenever One Must Fall was created. 2097? I don't know. Okay, so these people are using it, but you know what? I'm getting a little bit bold here. We are getting the heat. Is this really exciting? If I complete the heat pipe in an episode, are you really going to go, wow, that's an amazing thing? I wonder if they want to see art galleries here. I think maybe they do. Oh, we got an electricity problem. Where? Where's our electricity problem? Oh my. Oh, we got a fire. That's why. Okay. I think this fire truck's about to put it out. Okay, that was, I didn't even notice that. See, I'm yapping. I don't even notice the events. Okay, you know what? Let's be bold. Let's do one more. I don't think we'll do the zoo. You're going to have to wait next episode. But let's do the art gallery. I'm going to make that high priority, and we'll add U.S. Construction Office. Our construction setup is so impressive. Again, watch Cement Shoes breaks down how we set that up. And there's other things. Just watch the whole series, obviously. You shouldn't miss an episode of Dump City. You should see every episode. It's the best thing on television. Well, I want to go over a couple other things here. Speaking of power, when you have this many apartment buildings in one area, apparently a single electric substation isn't enough. So I built this between episodes, and it's fully redundant. Okay, so it covers every building. Every building already had electricity, but they weren't moving into them, and it never said it had power problems. But I'm like, why aren't they fully moving in? So I realized there might actually be some hidden power problems. And if one of these ever catches fire, everything has to be redundant in this area. So this is something I built here. It's one of the most overloaded substation, but it's fully redundant with every other substation in the area. Like this will have multiple sources, right? So this one covers everything, almost, it covers all the apartment buildings too. So there's multiple redundancies. And furthermore, this one here comes all the way from this transformer, and this one here comes from this transformer over here. So that's, if the transformers catch fire, you have backups too. Always have multiple transformers redundantly covering your buildings to ensure that you don't lose power completely should one of these things completely burn out. Okay, let's do a quick check here. Oh, we're out of construction waste. We gotta send this guy back out again. Back to work. Back to get some of that aggregate. We'll unload the little bit we have first though. And I'll do another topic while that's happening. Okay, so we're gonna build our art gallery. It's a fairly easy building, but it's a very short notice. But I don't think I'm going to push my luck beyond that. Another thing too, you know, imperial overstretch, never build all your buildings at once, one at a time, or nothing gets done. Basic game theory. Oh, yes, another thing that happened between episodes. You might have noticed too, beforehand, there used to be a blueprint for a big school here. And like, what happened to that blueprint? It was there for like 10 episodes. Why aren't you building a school there? Two reasons. One, I want to have tourists and I want to make money, and kids don't make money, they're just a burden. I have to pay extra property taxes and go to food banks because I have to pay for other people's kids. You know, I don't have my own kids yet. I got to pay school taxes every year. It seems like maybe parents should be paying more for it. Or get your kids mowing my lawn or something. Like, what is the purpose of me paying for other kids? It doesn't make sense, really, if you think about it. If those kids, like, I expect to be treated very nicely when I'm very old. Someone's kids have to be taken care of. Or, you know, maybe I'll have some kids someday. I'll get famous enough and supermodels will hang out with me or something. The point is, the school itself it was too big of a school too. Like, we have a giant school over here and we still don't use the capacity of it. So another thing, the other reason why I got rid of that school is I built a school here. Rich kids school, right? So rich kids go here. And why was it built here? Because it fits here. We had this space, a narrow sliver of space, and that's what made it perfect for rich kids school. So it's for all the snobs and this. Oh, I got to rename these apartment buildings, but it's for the Snobville apartments, and the rich kids go to this school. So we do have a school built, but not as big one, and it fits nicely in there. And it looks like it's more than big enough. It doesn't have garbage removal. I probably should add something for that later, but that's why we took out the school between episodes. We almost ran out of food earlier. That really sucks. Like, people wouldn't have starved immediately, but it's basically all your workers at all these factories just stop working when that happens, and you're basically burning money. And that affects your borrowing power indirectly. So we avoided that. I wonder what they're doing in this museum here. If we got space here, we could lower the price a little bit. Maybe get to a... Oh, no, we don't. We don't have space. We don't have enough people. Let's go with that here. We'll keep it a little pricey until it's regularly fully staffed. We're always 70% happy. It's about as good as it gets. Maybe gets to 72% by the end of summer. Sometimes it gets pretty low in winter because when I run out of heat, things get bad. It would be so nice, right, to take a holiday, go on a vacation, but you can't do that unless bureaucrats in an office allow it to happen. It's private interests that control who's allowed in your country, and they typically only want slave workers. So it's quite the ordeal. If you want to be a tourist in a country, they have to know they can gouge you, basically. That's the idea of the tourist trap. Most people are living in some sort of fantasy reality. They think they're going on a like it's honestly, you could just go anywhere and just a staycation works too, by the way. I've been taking staycations most of my life. That's how you deal with being crushed by capitalists for most of your life, is you take staycations. That's how you deal with the poverty. Under socialism, everyone's rewarded for their work. Everyone's appreciated. There's no incentives. You're just trying to maximize happiness, and which therefore maximizes productivity, which maximizes profit. And that's why socialist nations make more money as an aggregate total than capitalist nations. Capitalist nations don't actually make more money. It's actually a big lie. It's the inflation, right? You might earn 3 times more, but everything costs 10 times as much. So you end up poor. Again, I own a house, well, most of a house, but I got a mortgage, and I can't afford food because the mortgage in interest that the bank wants is more money than I would spend on food in 10 years in 1 year. And they want that just for being a bank, basically. Nobility still exists. You're a slave. I'm a slave, right? I got to make this show work. If this show doesn't get 1,000 subs by the end of the year, I'm going to be homeless, and then it's your fault. Okay, when is World War III going to start? It's going to start in 2031. Why? Because that's when World War II started. It was about 3 years after the Olympics in Germany. And this time we have the Olympics in Los Angeles, right? And what's going to happen is America's going to pretend to be, we've been doing good things, our economy's great, but the underlying truth is they're bankrupt. They've been borrowing, and it's all a facade. And just like World War II started 3 years later in Germany after the host of the Olympics, my prediction is 3 years after the Olympics in Los Angeles. So in 2031 is when World War III is going to start. Some of you might have thought it was going to be earlier, but it's going to take a while to really get that far. Unless people watch enough Dump City, and it's like the Minority Report, and we start taxing the rich, and we create wealth taxes. If we create universal basic income by then, we will not have World War III. So let's hope we can have a Minority Report on that one. Okay. Let's check the train out here. I think we had quite a bit more crop stockpiled last time. There was a lineup. What did it get up to, like 83? Okay, so it got in line quicker. So it should be okay this time. That's just how numbers work, right? I'm not a rich person. I'm a somewhat smart person. Oh, zing. And now someone just stops watching. It's just okay. They're like a television producer. They're like, I was going to make Brento the host of the Tonight Show, the new Tonight Show. And now because of that comment, forget it. Yeah, that was going to happen. Are we going to get a big, exciting gallery of art done here? Or the 0.81? It's such a low attraction score. Maybe they need other stuff. Maybe it needs to be modern art where you're involved in it. This is a great way to describe one of the flaws of capitalism. There's a machine, it's an art piece and it's one of the most genius things out there. Look this up if you haven't seen it. It's just one of the most genius bits of art because it's got actual engineering genius in it too, not the creative engineer, the person who paints a can of soup and thinks they're a genius. That's not quite as genius because it's not technically hard to do. It's maybe it's cerebral, but this actually requires mechanical understanding of the physical nature of reality to perform it. So it's a machine that has its oil and it scoops its own oil into itself so that it can operate. I think it has electricity and I don't know what, there's obviously some other energy source, but without the oil, it will seize up eventually. So it's a machine that fills itself up with oil. It's got this sweeping mechanism and it keeps doing this to keep itself alive, right? In a way, it sort of represents humans, I guess, and food, and eventually you're going to die. That's the depth of it. It's like this is humanity trying to survive, and eventually all things stop working. So everything dies is kind of the point of that. But check it out on YouTube, this machine that scoops oil to keep itself alive. It's really cool. I think they made the oil red or something just to make it really interesting. How are we doing here? Okay, yeah, I'm going to get a bunch more train projects here. And I might even start setting up two-way signals here. Actually, I got to finish this part here too. Then we can have two-way signals up and down here. Okay, so I don't think we're going to get tourists. No, we need this. I'm just going to say we need this. I don't know if there's limited amounts, maybe this unlocks a certain amount of tourists. I don't know. It's not indefinite because maybe I've researched this in the past and now I got to research it again. I don't think that me gouging the tourists created a scorched earth tourism rating, because yeah, obviously I'm going to charge them as much as I can. If the hotel's got limited spots, I'm going to get as much money as I can from the limited spots. I think we got to discover that. So there you go. You're learning how tourism works a little bit. But it's interesting though, and this is also, you wouldn't have learned this actually. So, and I meant to do this obviously, is that domestic people use some of these tourist attractions. They're in the carousel here. This super cheap carousel. And this moderately priced. We could actually lower the price a bit more. Let's go for 3 stars. Let's see if it overflows at 3 stars. Actually, let's go to 4 stars here. I think we're getting some regular people in here. Can we get up to 4 stars? We'll see. We'll see. It's super cheap now. This should fill up. This is going to make some people happy. Making people happy is usually your first objective because then they tolerate it more when they don't have heat in winter. It's a higher barrier. Yeah, they could get sick, but quite a few of them just leave too. So you got to keep that in mind. How are we doing for trash supplies? Are we processing this fast enough? We've got quite a regular amount of workers. So yeah, a little side note too here. Another reason this extra heat plant is kind of essential is I'm going to send one line of it in 3 different directions. So this heat plant will send one pipe to merge in with some of the heat pipes there. One pipe goes across the lake here to our tourist zone, and the other pipe's going to go into Dump City itself. So I'll be able to finally activate this. I want to do our human experiments. I thought if we built a hospital that we didn't need heat, but no, it's not enough. As soon as the doctors die, it's just cruel. We're not learning anything anymore. We learned something already, okay? We don't have to learn it again. But with heat, we can start learning new tolerances. So then what makes them leave, right? Is it the excessive pollution? We'll see, right? So we'll get that probably in a couple episodes. We'll be able to add some more human experiments. I know some of you were hoping to see more of them, but you just got to be realistic, right? And we're going to learn a little bit about tourism in this episode. Build some tourist traps. You can trap your own citizens, I guess. I imagine that them going here does something to their happiness rating. Like, can we even watch? Can we select a person? Let's see if we can select a person. Oh, we can't select them. Oh, wow. It'd be nice to watch them get happier, though. Let's see if we can watch them get happier. Okay, let's see if we can watch their productivity go up here. It's 97%. And does it go up? It does not appear to be going up. They're already pretty happy. Maybe they're giving us a bit of money, though. I don't know. Maybe it's good for the economy. That's one of the reasons I did it, is because money is a problem. I want money in the game. This is a money simulation. We're proving that capitalism isn't as good at making money as socialism. That's the point, right? China's already proven that, but a lot of people are in denial. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the US smartens up. Let's see if policymakers watch Dump City. Let's see if we can integrate FEMA with universal basic income, make it a crypto, all these things. Get a few billionaires to switch over. Oh, I want to do another thing. Here, there's another. Yes. Does this make you more communist? It's a question. It's a question for you. Does this make you more communist? Are you feeling more communist by watching this giant red star? Or this fly that's flying around me right now? Because of these disgusting pork rinds I ate before and my breath is terrible? Well, that's what this does. This should make you more communist. That's what the red star is for. That's how it works in the game. So yeah, that's why you build these. Loyalty to communism. America should build some of these. The American red stars. Why not? Okay, I don't know. That was just doing all the topics. We're almost done here. Oh, I never did my Matrix review. Yeah, so here's my review of The Matrix. Okay, so I was a software engineer, and this is my review of The Matrix. This isn't a movie review. Some people on the blue pill call it AI. Those of us on red pills call it code. Okay, it's just code. It's just software. I was coding 30 years ago. Okay, this isn't a new thing. AI is just code. It's marketing lingo. If you think that this ability to render things by giving things commands is a new idea, this idea has always been around. It's just been done better. More bits on the processors. And yeah, the Matrix, the red pill is it's just code. AI is an illusion. You're on the blue pill if you're into AI. Yeah, we're not going to get any tourists. In a way, that was a flop. I disappointed again. I feel bad. I don't even know if we're going to get this year. How come we're not getting enough workers? Not enough concrete. This needs a bunch of concrete. Okay, let's do a little hocus pocus here. We don't need this many dumpers. We'll put this in here. And we have an extra concrete truck somewhere. Yeah, this is a concrete truck. It can bring concrete too. Let's speed up the concrete. Maybe we'll get it done. This is how you... And a little bit of a pro tip here. If you have a max size construction office, but you really want to overload it, swap out some vehicles. Have a couple of parking lots beside it. And depending on your needs, put in an extra concrete truck, right? I thought I had another concrete truck somewhere. Is it getting repaired? Maybe I sent it to one of these construction offices over here. Oh no. No, I didn't. Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, this is good. We'll work on this. No rush. Maybe we'll have a few more buildings here built by next episode. And then we're going to ambush Las Vegas. No one's going to move out. We're going to start taking it over so rapidly that they can't move out. That's the plan. That was the mistake we made when we moved into Los Angeles. I didn't understand that mechanic that they move out the moment that you start building there. Oopsies. So learn from my mistake. Watch this episode, then watch the first episodes. If you happen to start from episode 1, now you're watching this, I've apologized for this before. That was a mistake. You can't just start building. Yeah, I thought we had a concrete mixer somewhere else. Did we move it? Oh yeah, this guy, there is a concrete mixer working for the Hollywood construction office, I think. Where's, yeah, oh, I moved it here. Okay, so we got a lot of concrete mixers. Bring concrete as fast as we can. Maybe we can get this done. I feel a little bad for last, 9%, maybe not. Okay, we need steel as well. It's got a tower crane. Ooh, maybe we can get 2 tower cranes in there. I play this a little bit too much in real time for how unautomated the city is. But again, this is just a show. I'm here to entertain you. Me getting a little stressed out. Season 2, this distribution office will actually be done. And it will, and all these tracks will be doubled up. And a lot of the stuff that I'm manually doing won't need to be done anymore. So we'll see if we get that done. Oh, we're out of bricks. Okay, we have a problem. Out of bricks. How can we be out of bricks? Who's just delivering the bricks? Why isn't anyone delivering bricks? This guy's a truck. He can deliver bricks. Why is no one delivering bricks to Amtrak? It says deliver bricks. And we have, our brick production's not fast enough, it seems. That's what the problem is. Yeah, other things are using bricks too fast. So this is the core problem is we need 7 brick workers. But just to get this fixed immediately, we're going to pick up bricks at 30%. We're going to pick up supplies at 30% right now. So one of these should grab bricks right away. One of these should automatically, let's see, there we go. So we'll make, actually, let's go to 40%. We just need, I basically just want 1 load of bricks. And I'll put that back up to 50, but we're just using bricks too much with our stupid tourist attractions. Okay, so yeah, that wasn't a movie review, The Matrix. If you're watching this on a computer, you're at the mercy of a software engineer, whether you realize it or not. They just made too many of me, and it's just not economically worth it for me to do it anymore. Although I think if I was like given like a lead developer role or something and paid like $500,000 a year or something, I would consider that. But I could make $500,000 as a celebrity, so, and being a celebrity is way more fun. Okay. A last topic before we get into verifying if our gallery of art gets done. So the topic is, what happens if our historians all lie? So people don't realize the importance of historical societies. These are our last bastion of intergenerational knowledge. So what would happen if that institute was corrupt? A historical society in your community just wasn't there. Perhaps you were living in the plains of North America and there's missing history where for some reason, you know, the fact that Spanish people lived in the middle of America, French people lived in the middle of America many centuries ago gets lost in the records. What happens? Here's what happens. You will think capitalism will not use you for its own gain. Because that's what capitalism does. It does alter the historical records, and it reminds you, like, it makes money for some people if certain bits of knowledge are taken away, like slavery in the US. Eventually, all historians are going to take away all record of it if capitalism allows that to happen. If money can buy historic information. And this is a concern because if you believe capitalism will not use you until you die, then you will do that. You will be used until you realize there is no reward. It was just a lie. Capitalism is slavery. Okay. Another thing, just maybe on a lighter side here, is you'll also not believe in the story of Nibiru. That could be real too. There's no proof that there's no concrete evidence dispelling it, and there is evidence that exists. So we must always preserve historical societies just in case we forget to look for Nibiru. Wait a second. Was that the... kind of screwed that up. Anyways, whatever. Nibiru. Well, actually, I never did the topic of... I skipped it out. It was one of the best topics. We got time. This list is... I got too many reports here. I got to get the right pages sorted out. I need an assistant to help me out here. Assistant to sort my pages. Cue cards would be nice. So here's another. This one actually works better with the church in view. So I mentioned I was going to talk about this topic. This is what the churches did before the Book of Enoch was removed. This is actually true, okay? Some of the records have been removed. Some historical records have hidden this truth. But before the Book of Enoch was removed from the sermons, what churches used to do is act as paleontological museums for giants. They had bones of 20, 30 foot tall people that they would exhibit in the churches. This is what they used to do. That's what the pagans, these were monuments to show the bones of the Anunnaki who came to Earth to create the human races. And we forget about that because a lot of people like to think that it's nonsense. But I know for sure, I'm 100% sure of this. I have sources that tell me those giant bones, they're not gone. They're in the basement of the Vatican. If we're going to be releasing hidden CIA and FBI and information from the world, it's time we saw what was in the basement of the Vatican. I want to see those giants. That's what churches used to show to the people because people wouldn't have believed it otherwise. I don't think I've missed a payment this whole episode, so even though I didn't get a single tourist in my tourist trap, I built a few more attractions. I should probably bump up I don't have the university space for it. Maybe it's probably not a good idea. I want them to show up during beach time of next year. I'm just going to keep this slow. We're not going to get this done this episode. Even if I would have cranked it to the max, I don't think we would have gotten it done this episode. But we did learn a few things about tourism. Yeah, I didn't know this about the need for the propaganda, the need for our elites to enable the ability for tourist vendors. You think about the flaws of capitalism, how it creates paywalls, and then you pay money to gain something that would otherwise be free in a socialist nation. Like the regular price of homes, which is substantially less than what you're probably paying. I guess you got to research the ability to let people through your border. It's like a propaganda campaign too. So honestly, you wouldn't be able to market to me that way. If you were to show nice imagery and soothing words, it would have zero effect on me. You just show me the price. You show me where it is. You show me the weather that day. That's all you got to do to market to me. I want to get out of a cold city in winter and into a warm city in winter. That's how I decide how I travel, okay? I don't care about no gallery of art, and I think a lot of people are like that too. It's just, what's the point, right? Maybe we can enable another project here. Actually, I think our track builder is doing nothing, so we got to get that working. Let's see if it's parked. I'm going to have to pause at that point if it's doing nothing at all. Where is it? Is it doing nothing? And it's doing nothing. Okay, we're wasting money. We're sending workers here. But I'll be inefficient. I'll waste the time of 4 or 5 virtual, bytes of data of people in order to show the beautiful gallery of art that doesn't have enough staff. And we're going to make it very, very expensive because we want money. And hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry I couldn't get any tourists in. I'm not even centered properly on the screen, but I'm laid back in my Hawaiian shirt here, pretending I was in Hawaii, but not quite. Now the building's on fire, and hopefully the firefighters put it out. So anyways, I guess that's the tourist trap. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next week.